You're watching 48 Fastcast.
All right, L701, thanks for joining us for the 48 Fastcast. It is Friday. We have a beautiful day on tap. Not too bad of a Saturday. Sunday, though, is kind of when the rain starts moving in.
Yeah, definitely enjoy today. Enjoy part of your Valentine's Day if you're going out with a significant other. But Sunday, that first alert weather day.
Yeah, heavy rain event for us coming. Pretty typical almost when we fall into a spring-like pattern. But we are looking at 1 to 3 or more inches of rainfall. And depending on the rainfall rates, Sunday morning, we could see some isolated flooding. Low-lying areas, creeks, streams, and rivers could see some rises. Not really talking about any threat of severe weather. I think the strong to severe storm threat stays well off to our south, but Sunday is trending to be more and more of a washout. We'll see some periods of showers kind of off and on as we go through Saturday, Valentine's Day, and the later you are out, if you are going to a fancy dinner with that significant other, have the umbrella and the raincoat with you, because that's when the heavy rain comes in, is later Saturday night into Sunday. Sunday, severe weather potential, mostly into central and southern Alabama. We could see an isolated stronger storm maybe into our southern areas south of the Tennessee River, but I think this is really just a lot of heavy rain, some thunder and lightning. But look at the model putting out 1 to 3, almost 4 inches of rain. Cold starting off your Friday, temps in the 20s and 30s.
This is your 48 First Alert Road Report, sponsored by Bankston Motorhomes.
And BB Friday morning traffic, a couple accidents. Athens Lucas Ferry Road on by 72, overturned vehicle in Coleman. This is just north of Alabama 157, and that is just on I-65 northbound. Overall, though, the triangle looks pretty good. A few slowdowns there on 20 as you approach the merge to 65, but overall, drive time's not bad. Decatur to Huntsville, 28 minutes. Athens to Huntsville, 36 minutes. Jonathan?
All right, thanks, Jeff. Well, we're continuing following that news. One woman has been forced from her home following a large house fire in New Hope. This happening all this morning. The fire was at a home on Nebo Road near New Hope Cedar Point Road. This is what that house looked like when we arrived. The owner of that house says that she was able to make it out safely. She also was able to rescue her pet, but she tells us no one was hurt, and she believes that fire started in the attic. Well, 48 is on your side this morning, asking Madison police for additional information following a late night shooting. That shooting happened at the Magnolia Point apartment complex, which is on Old Madison Pike. One woman was shot and badly injured, according to Madison police. Witnesses at the scene also tell us they heard fighting and arguing right before the shots were fired. We're also told a person was arrested as well. Now, right now, a woman is in the Madison County Jail on aggravated assault with a gun charges. Kenyatta Brooks was arrested by Madison police last night. Now, it's not known if she's a suspect in last night's shooting, but we have reached out for confirmation.
One of the largest developmental investments in Alabama history is moving forward, and it is happening right here in Huntsville.
Yeah, Huntsville City Council approving a $6 billion development agreement with pharmaceutical giant Eli Lilly. 48's Matthew King joins us live outside of Huntsville City Hall. And Matthew, this facility will bring hundreds of jobs to the Rocket City.
Yeah, Eli Lilly officials say this is about 450 manufacturing jobs with an additional 3,000 construction jobs to make that manufacturing plant a possibility. And this was approved during last night's Huntsville City Council meeting. Eli Lilly leaders say GLP-1 drugs for weight loss will be made at that new factory. That agreement includes an investment of $4.2 million over 7 years. The city is also holding an additional site of 240 acres for expansion. Eli Lilly will receive that land if they meet certain requirements. Huntsville Director of Urban and Economic Development Shane Davis says this investment will go right back into the community.
Investment of Eli Lilly is going to help us in education with school expansion and roads, both for Limestone County and the city of Huntsville. And those type of investments pay for themselves instead of asking the taxpayer to do so.
So construction set to start pretty soon on this project. It'll start this summer. Reporting live in Huntsville, Matthew King, 48 on your side.
Matthew, thank you. All new this morning, Huntsville city leaders have voted to uphold the firing of a former HPD officer. Scott Hartman was fired last year after being charged with drunk driving. He crashed into another car at the intersection of Church Street and Wheeler Avenue. That other driver was okay.
Well, right now, a Madison County judge is considering whether to grant a double murder suspect immunity or not. Ty Deshaun Stevens is accused of murdering his neighbor Sequoia Lamar and Deasia Morris back in 2023. This happened in northwest Huntsville. Stevens argues he killed both women in self-defense. Yesterday, Stevens admitted to slashing the women's tires. They were caught on camera or video threatening him.
Marshall County Sheriff's deputies have arrested the team they say made a terrorist threat to students and staff at Brindley Mountain High School. Deputies tell us Jackson Minyard made a social media post showing him holding a gun. That post had the caption, "School shooter final boss." He was arrested after talking with authorities. A troubled Cullman County city is back in the spotlight. Huntsville city leaders have officially voted to dissolve the city's police department, abolish the municipal court, and appoint a new mayor. This all comes 1 year after the arrests of multiple police officers, including the one-time chief. New Mayor Nolan Bradford, who was just appointed, says he wants to reestablish the police department in the future. Bradford said the ordinance dissolving the police department is intended to give the city an opportunity to rebuild from the ground up.
It doesn't mean we'll never have another police department. It's all based on what we can get insurance for, right? The insurance company is basically going to call the shots on how small we can start, how big we can be, so based on our budgeting at the time, I'd like to start small, but can we do that? I don't know.
Now, the people you see on your screen here are the former Huntsville officers who were arrested. Their charges include tampering with evidence, drug distribution, and using their office for personal gain. All 6 have court appearances in the next few months.
Debating with you? Do you
I'm
have
not.
your driver's
I'm not
license on
debating.
you?
I'm not going to give no license or anything.
You're not
like
going to give your license?
No, because we're going to. Hold on. We done got. But no, I'm not under arrest.
You are.
I'm not.
Where's this?
I'm finna leave.
You said you're not going to provide ID?
No.
Well, this morning, a Decatur street preacher is telling us about the moment she was arrested for, quote, being too loud. Bethany Stinnett and Robert Coughlin preach regularly outside of the Walmart in Athens. She recently decided to preach at a public location in Decatur, but someone called the police complaining. Now, when officers arrived, they told her that she was, quote, making a significant amount of unreasonable noise, end quote. After talking for about 5 minutes, Decatur police decided to arrest her. She was charged with disorderly conduct. The video of her arrest was posted on social media and has been viewed over 400,000 times. You can see the full story on our website, WAFF.com.
This morning, a longtime Huntsville police dispatcher is suing the city and the chief of the police department. Morgan Somerville claims he was harassed, disciplined unfairly, and eventually pushed out of the department entirely. Somerville tells us he got a small eyebrow piercing last summer. We're told he was ordered to remove it even after offering to cover it up. Somerville says other dispatchers had similar piercings. He was suspended last August for 3 days without pay. We reached out to the city for comment, but we're told they do not comment on pending litigation.
Well, now to a 48 News update. A trial date has been set to determine whether a North Huntsville restaurant will be allowed to reopen or not. 708 Bar and Grill was closed by the city in September after numerous complaints about multiple shootings. City officials also filed a lawsuit alleging that the restaurant was responsible for multiple zoning violations. Now, the trial is set to start on May 26th.
Some new developments this morning in the search for Nancy Guthrie. The FBI has released a more detailed description of a man who was caught on Guthrie's doorbell camera shortly before she disappeared nearly 2 weeks ago. Investigators say the suspect is around 5'9" and was seen wearing a black Ozark Trail Hiker pack backpack. FBI agents from Redstone Arsenal have also been brought in to help. There's currently a $100,000 reward for any information leading to an arrest.
Well, Lauderdale County Sheriff's deputies have arrested 2 men they say stole from multiple storage units. Now, Stephen Pickering of Killen and Robert Flippo of Florence were arrested yesterday. They're both accused of stealing things from self-storage on Florence Boulevard. Lauderdale County investigators also tell us the two stole some items from storage units in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee. More charges are expected.
4 children were taken to the hospital after a school bus crashed and then flipped on its side on a Blount County highway. 26 kids were on board at the time. 2 other cars were involved in that wreck yesterday on Highway 79. The bus was headed to Locust Fork Elementary and High School before it was hit by a car and then left the road. Everyone is expected to be okay.
Well, child rapists will now be eligible for the death penalty in our state. Governor Kay Ivey signed the Child Predator Death Penalty Act yesterday. Those who are found guilty of rape, sodomy, or sexual abuse of a child could now be sentenced to death. The new law goes into effect on October 1st.
Disability advocates are sharing their concerns over a recently passed bill. They say it creates a conflict of interest and oversight of autism therapy. Senate Bill 113 would push the board that licenses autism therapists in Alabama to an advisory role. Instead, the State Department of Mental Health would take over licensing. One licensed behavior analyst shared his concerns over taking away independent, professionalized oversight.
It takes Alabama Department of Mental Health, who is a mental health provider, a mental health payer. They determine who gets paid in many cases, particularly with respect to Medicaid, and now makes them the licensor. Like, they are now responsible for watching themselves, for regulating themselves. This is a terrible conflict of interest, and it is the reason why no other state in America follows this model.
The House is set to vote on the bill next week.
Well, now to an update on a story we've been tracking for the past few days. The State House of Representatives has removed a bill from the calendar that, if approved, would have changed the board that regulates your utility rates. Now, it's not known why the bill was removed, but right now you elect the members of the commission. However, some lawmakers were considering a bill that would allow the governor to appoint those members. Supporters of the legislation say this would have allowed for more qualified experts to join the board. Others argue that it takes the power away from you, the voter.
This is all about trying to get our rates down, and it's about a public service commission that's been failing the state of Alabama for over 100 years.
I am here to represent the voice of the people. I'm not here to represent special interests. This bill is truly a special interest bill. There's no way to look at it.
Now, the sponsor of the bill says there are still a few details that need to be ironed out before it can move forward.
Right now, the mother of an Alabama girl killed in last year's Texas flooding is asking for some big changes to be made. 8-year-old Sarah Marsh of Mountain Brook died in those floods. Jill Marsh, her mother, is pushing for a camp safety bill, which would create a statewide flood alert system. Summer camps would also be required to implement certain safety standards. Jill believes things would have ended differently if there was a flood alert system in Texas.
Sarah would still be alive. All 27 girls would be alive. So Alabama has the opportunity, the information now, to prevent future tragedies like what happened in Texas. We want all children who come to Alabama camps to enjoy the magic of summer camp. But that magic can only be fully realized if kids are safe.
The bill advanced out of a House committee yesterday. It now moves on to the full House for consideration. Well, you may experience a water outage today if you live in Hazel Green. Residents on Comfort Drive will be impacted. System improvements will start at 8 this morning and wrap up by 3 p.m.
Now, your first alert weather with meteorologist Eric Burke.
Well, good morning and happy Friday. Beautiful day coming to end the week. It is cold this morning. We even have some 20s in the mix, but sunshine, 60s this afternoon. Even a big portion of Saturday, Valentine's Day, will be dry. It will be a cloudy day, but the heavier rain starts to move in late Saturday evening, overnight into Sunday. Sunday, a 48 first alert weather day for heavy rain potential, as well as some general gusty winds, about 20 to 30 miles per hour. Now, there is a little bit of a boundary lifting through on Saturday. That could bring some lighter scattered showers, but by late Saturday night, overnight into Sunday, this is when we have the most widespread and intense rainfall. Could see some isolated flooding. Rainfall tracks off to the east as we go into Sunday afternoon. You're watching your 48 Fastcast wherever you stream. We'll be right back.
Well, one University of Alabama fraternity has lost their house privileges following a hazing incident. The Beta Kappa chapter of the Delta Sigma Phi fraternity hazed new members back in September. No arrests were made, but the fraternity will not be recognized until 2031, and members will not be allowed to live in the chapter house either.
In Tennessee, 2 new bills could take away professors' future tenure status who work at public universities. One House version and one Senate version are currently sitting in committee. Senator Joey Hensley introduced the bill, and if passed, the legislation would end any future tenure awards for faculty. University of Tennessee officials say this would make it hard to hire professors and could impact the state academically. One senior at UT says the faculty is what draws students there.
When the professors are able to stay at the school a long time, I think you can build long-lasting connections, which is really beneficial.
Now, the bill would not affect faculty who earn tenure before July 1st. The Senate Education Committee is set to vote on it.
Well, your grocery bill could soon be lower if you live in Tennessee. Some state lawmakers want to eliminate the state sales tax on fresh vegetables and fruit. Representative Mark Sparks is pushing this forward. He says the bill would also help people to eat healthier. If approved, the measure would go into effect on July 1st.
Well, applications are now closed for Tennessee's school voucher program. The program allows eligible families to use public tax dollars to pay for their children's private school. State leaders say more than 56,000 families applied for the vouchers this year. Most of those were new applicants. If you applied, you'll get an email soon on the status of your application.
In Nashville, plans for the Music City Loop are moving forward. City leaders are planning to approve a license agreement with the Boring Company, which is owned by Elon Musk. The goal of this project is to build a large underground transit system through a series of tunnels. Once it's completed, you'll be able to get from Nashville International Airport to downtown in just about 10 minutes.
A former Morgan County sheriff who left office amid a lot of controversy is trying to get her old job back. Former Sheriff Anna Franklin is planning to challenge current Sheriff Ron Puckett. Franklin was sued multiple times while in office. She was accused of misusing federal funds that were supposed to go toward food for jail inmates. She was also federally charged with not paying her taxes on time in 2015. Franklin was sued by the IRS, but a judge later ruled in her favor.
My friends' lives, my family's lives, my sheriff's office life, every single part of that and every single allegation that everybody wanted to throw out there, I was investigated for. When we won, we were cleared of all of the noise, and so of all of the allegations that were there. I didn't pay my taxes on time in 2015. Me and several other million people.
Sheriff Puckett says he is proud to run off his record. That includes the hiring of more jail guards.
Our retention is better. We're able to recruit better. We're about 11 short, which is great. When you talk about the jail, I want to run on what Ron Puckett has done, not against Anna Franklin, because I think I've done a great job. I think I've served the public well, and I welcome her challenge.
The primary election date for the race is set for May 19th. Well, Mardi Gras festivities are taking place all over, including here locally. Tomorrow, people will pack downtown Huntsville for the Mardi Gras parade there. Here's a look at this year's parade route. The parade starts on Meridian Street and Cleveland Avenue before heading south. The highlighted parts on your screen include throw zones starting on Holmes Avenue. The parade gets underway at 2:30. Now, Meridian Street, Holmes Avenue, Washington Street and Cleveland Avenue will all be closed for several hours, so will several other streets. Those closures will start at 2 and wrap up shortly after 4 p.m.
Now, your first alert weather with meteorologist Eric Burke.
7:19 on a Friday. We're going to skip forward to your rain timeline for Saturday. Previously mentioned late morning into the afternoon. Could see some drizzle or light showers, but the more intense rainfall will hold off until late Saturday night. So something to consider if you have a dinner reservation with your significant other for Valentine's Day. We go to your parade forecast to downtown. This is always a great event, and weather-wise, temperatures in the 50s and 60s, cloudy skies. Might want to have the umbrella and raincoat with you just in case. Temperatures here this morning, upper 20s to mid 30s. Good looking end to our week though, 63. Winds will be light, mostly sunny. For tonight, 39 is your low. Here's a look at your weekend. Again, Sunday, a first alert weather day. You're watching your 48 Fastcast on your Friday morning. We're back in a minute.
Now to an update on Sheffield Mayor Brian Van Devender. We're told he is awake after a medical scare earlier this week. He had to be airlifted to Vanderbilt Hospital for a brain aneurysm. Other city leaders are stepping up to run the city until he returns.
Moving forward, when he comes back, he takes some time, works from home. He and I can talk to each other, and I can, happy to help run the meetings while he's away. Take his time. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Now, Van Devender will spend the next few weeks in the ICU before returning home.
Well, quarterback Trinidad Chambliss will be allowed to play another year of college football at the University of Mississippi. A Mississippi judge and graduate of the school decided to grant Chambliss a 6th year of college eligibility. Now, that judge ruled that Chambliss met the requirements for a medical redshirt while he was at Ferris State. Now, he did not play in 2022 due to tonsillitis, mono, and sleep apnea. The NCAA had rejected his appeal for a 6th year for eligibility several times before.
And back here at home, the Alabama A&M Lady Bulldogs basketball team is on the verge of breaking a record. The team has won 10 games in a row. They defeated Arkansas Pine Bluff yesterday to extend their streak. The 10-game winning streak is the longest since 1996 when they won 11 straight. That is, again, the longest winning streak in team history. The Bulldogs can tie that record tomorrow against Mississippi Valley State. Tip-off is set for 2.
Well, this morning, Huntsville city leaders are honoring a North Alabama native for her musical talents. Jazz McKenzie was a contestant on the most recent season of The Voice. Now, she made it all the way to the finals. Last night, city leaders presented her with a resolution that recognizes her talent and achievement, and we interviewed Jazz before she performed on The Voice. That interview is available on tvliving.com.
Now, your first alert weather with meteorologist Eric Burke.
Well, today is beautiful. Saturday brings clouds, occasional showers, but the day to watch. This is going to be a washout, heavy rain event unfolding late Saturday night, overnight into Sunday. We are not forecasting severe weather, but we're definitely looking at a lot of heavy rain and maybe some 20 to 30 mile per hour winds. We've got a weak boundary lifting through as we go through your Saturday, Valentine's Day. I know we have the Mardi Gras parade. If you're heading out to watch that, have the raincoat with you, but the heavier rain comes in. This is late Saturday night. And then here we go, Sunday morning, 3:30. If you're heading out for church worship services, we've got a ton of rainfall to get through. We'll be watching for that flooding threat, but the severe risk is much greater to our south. 1 to 3 or more inches of rain. Tonight, 39 is your low. Another kind of cool evening. Sunday, just tracking all the heavy rainfall. But Monday, President's Day, a lot of you have an extended weekend, 65, partly cloudy. And then after that, we've got spring-like low to mid-70s.
All right, tomorrow, Valentine's Day, you still got time to pick up your chocolates, your roses as well.
It's a good reminder, my friend.
Just a reminder, guys.
All the things. Enjoy, and we will be here throughout the morning with more news, traffic, and weather. Have a good one.